Welcome to Actions and Limits. My name is Justin Atherton. I'm the Peak Performance Consultant for Confidence Unchained. With me as always is Paul Fortune. Paul is a mindset coach and the founder of A Call to Action. And together, we make Actions and Limits. Welcome to the show, the podcast where we talk about the actions we can take and the limits we create. Paul, it's the end of the year. This is our New Year's episode. New Year's is coming up in a couple days. I'm really excited for it. Everyone out there, make sure that you find us on Facebook and Instagram at Actions and Limits. You can email the show at actionsandlimits@gmail.com, and you can find us on all of your regular podcast platforms and also on YouTube. So make sure that you subscribe and follow and like and comment and send us emails and continue to do that into the new year, because we have a lot of amazing interviews coming up at the beginning of the year. So Paul, I'm excited. I'm excited to wrap up this year like I'm sure everyone else is and start brand new in 2021.
Happy New Year, Justin. It's going to be 2021, baby.
Yep. I'm ready for it. Are you ready, man?
I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm excited to see where this year takes us. I was probably more scared for 2020 than I am 2021 because that fear base of that unknown is gone now. You know what? I've taken the leap of faith. I'm doing the call to action. I know what's expected. It's extremely hard. I'm not going to lie. Very, 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 very hard, especially with COVID, doing the marketing thing. But at least, that fear factor is gone for the fact that I'm living it. You know what I mean? I'm doing it. So I think that's huge. Hopefully things open up a little bit more so that, I can kind of put my things out there a little bit more than right now, just through virtual, but I'm excited for the 2021 for sure. How about yourself?
So has it been a full year that you've gone the business 100%?
Pretty close. January.
Was it January? Okay. I was trying to remember exactly when it was, because I know you announced it on the show. But yeah, man, no, awesome, man. Congrats with that, and I wish you continued success. Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I know it's been a crazy year for everybody. So it's an understatement, talking about, 2020 as a crazy year. But I'm ready for the next year. A lot of things coming up. I'm kicking off the year with a bang, having my virtual summit at the end of January.
Yeah, tell us about that a little bit.
We've got, a lot of guests. Well, you're going to be on there. Yeah, I'm excited to have you as a guest as well. There's a lot of amazing men that are coming on. A couple of guests that we've had on the show, Eric Partaker. He was a guest here on Actions and Limits, Perry Moffmer. But also a lot of different men are coming on. Mike Ayala, Johnny King, Johnny L. Sasser, Jim Vave, Jeff Levine, Mike the Cop. He's got some really entertaining and stuff. Robert Candell. I've got Bill Allen. The list goes on. It's an amazing group of men that are focused on helping men. That's what the summit's about. It's about coming together, giving some insight for the men out there. So I'm excited for it, man. It's going to be great. I think the interviews are going to be amazing, and I know that the audience is going to get a lot of value out of it. So I'm looking forward to that. And man, we've had some really amazing guests on the show this year, man. It's flew by for how much stuff was going on. I guess it flew by, man.
Well, you know what it is when you're in the same spot over and over again, things go by faster. I felt like, when we all were in school, things were slower because, we had the fall start of school, then we had the spring break, then we came back, then we had spring break, and then we had the fall, we had the, end of the school year, then we had the summer, and then boom, boom, boom. So it felt longer, but now, this year, since, most of the time we've been indoors the whole year, everything's about the same. It's like Groundhog Day. I think that's the reason why I think the year flew by more than other years. Yeah, or just because everything's the same. It's one long season almost.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a negative Nelly. All about 2020. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's been a tough go of it for most people, but there's a lot of innovation that have come across. I mean, look at this. I mean, there's a vaccine coming out. I mean, vaccines take literally 5 to 10 years, and we're getting a vaccine less than a year. I mean, hopefully, obviously, we want to make sure it works properly. I mean, that's and it's safe. I mean, that's number one. Obviously, you want to make sure it's not harming anybody. But I mean, that to me is crazy that we had a vaccine that came out this, and different ways of people doing business. I mean, look at this. I think that there's going to be this new way of how companies look at things. I think there's going to be more people working from home going forward than ever before because of the fact that why are we going to pay rent when it's apparent that people are just as productive at home as they are at work, and a lot of times they may be even more productive at home due to the fact that they don't have to travel to work, due to the fact that they don't have co-workers at the water fountain. So there is a lot of good things that are going to come out of it, and hopefully the appreciation factor, the appreciation of going to a concert or traveling or visiting with family and friends. So hopefully there's appreciation factor that's going to go forth due to this year. What do you think?
I think that's going to be the biggest thing is really when things open back up. And, I know we've talked about this. Each state is a little bit different because out here in Texas, it's pretty wide open. But when it's open across the board and people can travel like they want to and see family like they want to, I think that's going to be the number one thing. People like missing that connection with their friends, with their family, and wanting to be in the same room with somebody. Like I'm glad that Zoom came around, and I know there's a couple of different apps, but it helps, but it's not the same. I was having a conversation with a guy. He was talking about, and I thought this was some really great insight because normally we're picking up on body language and facial expressions and tonality and stuff, all this stuff that's going on when we're in person. Well, he equated Zoom to being two-dimensional as opposed to when we're in person and it's three-dimensional. So you're missing out on things and your brain is trying to grasp at like, what am I looking at? Like, what's going on right now? Like something's not right. And so you get this, what he called Zoom fatigue. And, I think people are going to, want that human interaction. Will Zoom meetings still be a thing? Yes. Will businesses go more virtual and go from working from home? Yes, it's going to happen. But people are going to be like, I need human contact. That's just human psychology, man. Like we want physical touch. We want to be like in that close proximity to other people. Like that's how humans are designed. Like we're not designed to be isolated in our house away from everybody. That's not natural for us. So I think that's going to be the number one thing that people are going to be like, let me go. I'm just going to start hugging strangers once it's okay.
I thought of something while you were saying that, because most of us are wearing masks when they're out in public, and with kids in their, they're 2, 3, 4, and they're developing their mind. And a lot of times, that's the time where they're studying facial expressions and knowing different cues. And unfortunately, when you're wearing a mask, these 2 and 3-year-olds are not getting those social cues because they can't read the person's, facial expression. So that's going to be an interesting thing going forward on how that's going to change things. Hopefully, kids are pretty resilient, so hopefully they can catch up quickly. But I know that people have brought that as an issue.
Yeah, and I don't think we're going to see the repercussions of that for at least a decade. Like, we're not going to know how that has affected this generation. And with the company that I work with, teaching the interview tactics and the leadership skills, we talk about the slide of emotional intelligence over the last 150 years. It has been progressively worse. And my thought is so there's a graph, right? It's where a slow decline, 2020 hits, and there's going to be a dramatic drop in just the general emotional intelligence of the population, because we're not having that interaction with each other. We're not having those face-to-face talks. We're not practicing those skills, which are diminishing skills. And so I think we're going to see a sharp decline in our overall, emotional awareness and emotional intelligence. And it may take some time to recover from that. And like I said, with the point that you brought up with the kids, not really seeing that we may not understand the repercussions of that for a decade. So,
and knowing that information that you just put out there, what do you think that we can do going forward to prevent such a steep decline?
Well, the parents have to take it upon themselves to understand emotional intelligence and teach it to their kids, because it doesn't get taught in schools. The company that I work with, they're working with the state of Florida to implement the emotional intelligence into the public school system. And hopefully it can spread from there, because they understand the importance of it. So it's the parents' job to take on the emotional intelligence aspect for their kids. And it's stuff I teach my daughter. I teach her how to read facial expressions. I teach her emotional vocabulary. But the issue is that a lot of parents out there, men and women, don't have a strong sense of emotional intelligence.
I was going to say that. So what can they do to strengthen that? Is there courses they could take, in local cities or online courses, or what would you suggest they do?
There's courses, there's books, lots of different, content out there around emotional intelligence. I think the issue is the stigma around emotions. Generally we think about emotions as being bad. Men are told you're not allowed to have emotions. Women are told you have too many emotions. So on both sides of the spectrum, we're being told emotions are bad rather than useful based on the context of the situation. There's a lot of great information. I think I have it on my shelf. I know.
Check it out. It's on the shelf.
Emotional Intelligence 2.0 was a really great book. I don't remember the author right off the bat. I think it was Tyler or something with a T. But it was a really great book, gave some really good insights on emotional intelligence and really broke down the different steps and actually had some practical application on how you would do it. And you and I have talked about these things before, just some of the random ideas of talking to strangers, just saying hi on the street or in an elevator, how I like to make people feel uncomfortable and make myself uncomfortable and having that short time frame conversation. These are skills that need to be practiced on the daily basis. So there's information out there.
Don't you feel though, because I feel this way, don't you feel that the newer generations, the millennial and now the Gen Z, don't you feel that and men going across with men, don't you feel that they are a little bit more in touch with their emotions than past generations, Gen X and the golden age and their forth?
I think it's a different way of looking at the emotions, because what I have seen with this whole idea of toxic masculinity and the feminine masculine energies, it seems like, so people, it's almost like a bell curve. because there's people that are like have no emotions that are just like, that's not healthy. But then you have the people on the other side of the bell curve that are just letting their emotions run wild and just letting their emotions run their decision making, which isn't healthy either. So you want to land in the middle. You have to have a mix of logic and emotions to make rational, reasonable decision making. So it's a weird balance, because you don't want to have someone go off the deep end and just say only emotions. You should vote on emotions. You should make decisions on emotions. You should pick your spouse on emotion. Like, you have to have a balance. But you can't go on the other side either. You can't be, Mr. Spock and be like, it's logic only. I put no emotions into my decisions. That's not reasonable either. You have to have a good balance, especially when it comes to people. There's always going to be emotions involved, but you also have to have reason and common sense.
Absolutely. I think we went on a little bit of a tangent.
Maybe we did.
A little bit with the New Year's. But bringing it back a little bit to the New Year's kind of deal is, what do you see 2021 looking for yourself in your personal life? Because I know that, things are going to be changing in your personal life for the better for you. And I'm sure, and your business too, I'm sure, and everything else. What do you see 2021 looking for you?
Yeah, I'm excited. I know my girlfriend's moving to Texas. We've been doing a long distance thing for a while, so I'm excited for that. So less flying for me back and forth to California. I know you'll miss my face in person, Paul. But
oh yeah, of course.
But I'd say that's probably the biggest thing for me. I know I'm going to be working on my business extra hard. I'm excited for what's going to come after the summit and pushing my program out there and working with all the men that step up to join my program. I'm super excited about that. So no definite plans. I'm open to where it goes. I'm like, where's it going to go? I've got a direction, but I'm leaving, some leeway and going like, hey, well, wherever this falls, I'm going to take it and run with it. So I'm excited for that. What about you? What are your plans for 21?
I'd love to take my business more speaking in 2021, if that's possible.
Yeah.
So really dive into the Toastmasters avenue of things. Doing a little bit of the Toastmasters now. It's really not the same. I hate to say it like that. It's really not the same because, we're doing it through Zoom.
Wow.
And it feels like I'm doing a podcast. You know what I mean? When I'm doing speeches and it's like I'm doing a podcast. There's a different energy when you're in front of a big crowd and you're feeling their emotion. You know what I mean? And you're up there, your heart's pumping a little bit. Yeah. So love to get into that a little bit more. I think that's huge. And I have a goal for the show. What would be great for the show is we up our downloads and we get a legitimate sponsor. I think that would be awesome in 2021 for the Actions and Limits podcast.
Yeah, that would be exciting, man. I think I appreciate our audience out there. We have a steady following.
Yeah, we do. Definitely.
It would be amazing to share this with more people. So, I'm looking forward to, all the guests that we are going to have on the show and sharing it with bigger audiences and getting it out there. And yeah, like you said, a sponsor, would be amazing. I know we had one in the past, but it was a different vibe, right? But someone that really resonates with the show and is kind of going along with what we're putting out there. So I think that's a great goal. I can hop on board with that goal, Paul. So yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, the I think what you were going into is having that growth mindset. Not having those. I have to be here, I have to be that, and having that room for growth and seeing where the year takes us, I think is tremendous, because we talked about it in episodes past about when we do these, some of these goals. Sometimes it's great to set goals, and I'm not saying never to set goals, because I think goals are great to set to kind of give you that guidance on where you want to take it. But, don't get into these goals where it's like, okay, now I want to drop 50 pounds by March. And then you drop 10, and then you're like, oh man, I didn't do my goal. And now I'm just going to eat because I really don't care anymore. Try to set goals that you feel are sustainable and that they're going to move you forward on the long term. And I think that's very, very important because I think we talked about New Year's resolutions. People give them up by Valentine's Day. You said the 8th, but I mean, come on, I was 6 days off. Give me a break, okay? Valentine's Day is the 14th.
I think it was an article I read that they said February 8th. Most people have given up their their New Year's resolutions, but you were giving people the benefit of the doubt, and you gave them an extra 7 days. But yeah, it's I think it's about taking it in the chunks, not necessarily like say it was that goal to lose 50 pounds. That's great. Have that goal, but do it in pieces. Be like, first thing you need to do is lose 10. Get there and go, all right, that wasn't so bad. Now let's do the next piece. Now the next piece. But I think where you come into it and what you were getting at was like, if you set a goal so big that like twofold, when you look at the goal from far away, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to accomplish that? And so that can shut people down. And then also falling short of a goal like that can kind of rattle people. But you and I have talked about this too, is like, you have to give yourself credit for what you have accomplished, because if your goal was to lose 50 pounds and you lost 40, don't friggin' go off the wagon again and be like, oh, I'm just going to eat everything in the fridge because I missed my goal. Well, hell, losing 40 pounds is an accomplishment, or starting your business is an accomplishment, or like all of these other aspects that we need to give ourselves credit for.
Yeah, no question about it. And on top of that, we got to enjoy the journey of it all. Yeah. I see it so often in life where people just bulldoze it, right? They get their goal, right? Yeah. And then they look back and go, crap, what happened in the last 5 years of my life? Well, you didn't enjoy it, right? You just were so fixated on that goal, which is great. I mean, I love that husband, but you got to enjoy the process of getting there and being okay with that. Not every day is going to be like you're going to get to the top. There's going to be days where you're going to be climbing and you're going to fall back a few feet, and you're going to have to climb back up and find a way. You have to enjoy it. And it goes back to, do you have the passion to do it? If you do have the true passion to do it, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse to get out of it. And that's okay. In my life, I found the excuse to get out of it because I surely wasn't passionate about it. And the things that I am passionate about, I'll find a way to get to where I need to go. And I think that's the difference. And then being okay with, especially if you have a goal that's going to take you several years to get to, you could be in the process of it. And then, life changes, you feel differently about stuff. And at that point, you might need to reevaluate your goal. You know what? It was my goal 5 years ago, but I don't know if it's my goal now, just because, things have changed. My life's changed. I'm living in a different place. Things have happened. And I don't know if I don't want that to be my goal anymore. And you got to be okay with saying that's fine, and not be disappointed with yourself going, I didn't match that goal. Well, maybe it's not your goal anymore, So yeah. I think that's very, very important. Now, obviously you need to keep yourself accountable, but again, here's the B word that comes up, that balance, right? Of when to push yourself and when to give you that self-love. It's a work in progress, right? I mean, every day is going to be different. And I'll tell you this right now, if you feel like I've mastered something, I'm worried about you. I'm worried about you, because if you feel like you're getting mastered, there is going to be something that will happen in your life that's going to take you right off the mountain, and it's going to hurt you even more because you thought, oh, I am a master at this. How could this happen to me? And you could really go down.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. But I think I think something really important in there is what you said. You have to reevaluate your own goals from time to time, because the why changes. Your driving force behind what was going on in your life at that time changes. And you find different purpose. Think about like life-changing events. Like you might like be super focused on creating this business and doing this one thing and saying, I'm going to travel the world. Well, then you have a kid, and then it's like, well, now my purpose has shifted some. Like maybe I put the other stuff on pause, but now your why has shifted. And things like that happen in all of our lives. And sometimes it's all at once, a child being born, or it's something slowly that your perception changes or your beliefs and values change, and you go, this isn't for me anymore. I'm going to do something else. And so it's important to reevaluate those goals from time to time and say, do I still want to do this? Is this still something that I'm passionate about? And like you said, give yourself the permission to go, no, I'm not. I'm not passionate about this. I don't want to do this anymore. How many times have we heard stories of people that were like, they were a lawyer for 10 years. And then they're like, you know what? I want to be a doctor. And then they completely switch professions because they're like, this is what I'm passionate about. That's a huge shift, and all the schooling and everything that goes into that. Like, but if you really want to do it, and probably having the support system behind you as well is super important. I know we've heard that from, I think, every successful person that we've interviewed, how important that success or the support system around you is to success. Reevaluate. It's okay. And it's New Year's. Don't think that you have to attack your whole goal and that you won't be able to reevaluate and just abandon it. At least give it a go. Give it a few months and be like, all right, is this something that I'm willing to stick with, rather than February 8th, February 14th, just going, screw it. I messed up once. I told myself I was going to give up chocolate for the year or whatever it was. And I had one piece of chocolate. So screw it. The whole year's messed up. I'm just going to start again in 2022 that's ridiculous. So
yeah, when you fall down, get back up, man. Just get back up. And I heard this, and I thought this was kind of a fun deal. Somebody talks about, this goal is going to take me 7 years to complete. I'm going to be 7 years older. So I don't know if I want to do it. And this wise person said, well, one day you're going to be 7 years older anyway. So why not do it? Time's going to go by anyway, right? So might as well do the goal, right?
Yeah. I bet they were sitting there going, man, he's right. You don't think about that, right? Like when you set out, and that's the whole thing about looking at the goal as one giant piece, rather than breaking it down in obtainable pieces and goals and objectives, and saying like, when I get to here, I will reward myself. When I get to the next level, I'll reward myself. Because it is important to reward yourself along the way. If the reward is the end of the journey and you never like pat yourself on the back, you never give yourself a day off, you're not going to enjoy that ride. And then when you get there, you may actually resent the journey. So it's important to break down the goals into bite-sized pieces, and then give yourself a reward. Like have those points broken down for the year and go, hey, at a 3-month point, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go get a massage. I'm going to go take a little, mini vacation, whatever it is for yourself. But having those reward points keeps you going. And it's like, okay, just to the next spot and the next spot from here. So I think that's so important, within the mentality of long goals.
Yeah, and I think that's why people have midlife crisis, because they go through life, right? And they're not enjoying what you said, the process of rewarding yourself. They're just going through it. They started a family and they work or whatever and this and that.
No.
And then they look back and go, you know what? I never had any fun. Now I want to have fun. I didn't have any fun for the last 20 years. And I think that's important to the piece you were talking about, is enjoying that journey, enjoying, those steps and rewarding yourself. for getting to a certain peak of time. I mean, even when you're, raising kids, I mean, if your kids, graduate high school, maybe you and your parent, and your spouse, you take a vacation because you know what, maybe you help that kid along because maybe they weren't that great in school and you really helped them get to the next level, and you need to reward yourself for the work you put in to get your kid to graduate. Or maybe they're a straight A student, and the discipline that you instilled in them was the reason why they're a straight A student. So you should reward yourself for that. Yeah. There's several reasons why you should reward yourself for various things.
I like it. And I like how that, ties in with the New Year's resolution and how we can continue those past February and take it on for the rest of the year, or, create a new habit for yourself or whatever that goal is. So it's, I think it's good, man, to think about that and how to break down those ideas in the smaller pieces, especially around the new year. And everybody wants to start fresh. If there was a year to start fresh, it's this one.
Absolutely. Do you have any plans for New Year's Eve? I know that like you said, Texas is a little bit more open, so there might be a little bit more that you can do. Or
it's going to depend on some shutdowns. I was planning on being in Dallas. Dallas was pretty open, but from what I heard, they've started to crack down a little bit, so we'll see how that goes. So keeping it open. If not, we'll fill and flow and make something of it regardless. So this is the year to be adaptable to whatever comes your way. So we'll see what happens here in a couple of days. So
yeah, absolutely. And I also want to point out to people, and I think a lot of people can resonate with this. All through, your life, you think, oh, I want to do something grandiose for New Year's Eve.
Oh, yeah.
And most of the time it doesn't turn out like the grandiose that you had in your mind. It's kind of a disappointment. So, really think about that. If you're stuck at home, sometimes the best New Year's Eves are the ones that you're at home with your family, with the popcorn and the video, and then it used to be Dick Clark. Now you turn on Ryan Seacrest for the ball drop, and a lot of people rag on Ryan Seacrest. I think he's a really successful guy. I mean, I appreciate him.
Yeah, I was laughing at you dating yourself with Dick Clark, because I do. I remember growing up, every New Year's it was Dick Clark counting down, the ball drop, but. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being there with the family and, enjoying that time and being in this time of reflection on yes, it was a rough year, but what are you grateful for? Like, you're grateful for your family being there for you. You're grateful for, the things that you do have, the people that are working, the people that are healthy, there's always something to be grateful for. You just have to open your eyes and realize that it's there.
Yeah, no question about it. You said it right there, being grateful for the things that you have, not what you don't have. I think it's extremely important, especially with the times that we're in, but in any time. Mm-hmm. There's mental health problems in any era, so that we need to realize that just, when the vaccine starts to come to us and they start opening up the United States, that all our problems are going to go away. That's not the case. So we still have to use that gratefulness, that what are we grateful for, and help out people that are still, dealing with, the effects of the COVID, whether with their job or whether it be, with their mindset, and giving ourselves that self-love. I think it's extremely important, and it will be going forward, and knowing that, that we are just, working progress. We're just working progress. We're never going to be perfect. We always can improve on something, and there's always going to be something, like I said earlier, that's going to throw us off. Something's going to happen in our life that we're not going to like, and then we can't control. But the one thing we can control is our attitude, our mindset. And that's very important that we remember that.
I like that, man. I like that, because You're 100% right. We can't control the unknown. We can't control the events that may happen today, tomorrow, something negative, but controlling your mindset around it, being able to be adaptive to whatever comes your way. That's super key. So I wish everyone a great end to the year and prosperous 2021 for everyone. I'm excited to see what it will bring. I'm sure that there will still be struggles for people out there, and that's something that everyone has to deal with on different levels. Everyone has their own struggles, but be adaptable, be grateful, all the things you like to talk about a lot, Paul, the self-love, grateful, having that growth mindset. So I think all of those are super important keys to success, which really is about happiness.
Yes, and let's turn the tables a little bit. What action would you like to implement for everybody in 2021?
Ooh, what action would I give everyone in 2021? I think we talked mostly about it, but I would say be open to whatever happens. Be adaptable. Just take things in stride and look at it and go, okay, and kind of that three-prong effect again. Can I change this situation that's in front of me? Yes or no? You move on to the next one. Or can I remove myself from the situation? Yes or no? Or do I just have to accept it? And if you use that when you come across any problem, you'll realize that either it's not a big deal, or you do have some effect in the change or to remove yourself from the situation. Or if you realize that you don't have an ability to change it or remove yourself, that you just have to deal with it and move on and continue on your path, however you can manage that. And it's just another obstacle in your path that you have to work around. It doesn't mean that the goal has ended. It just means that there's something in your way and you have to find another path. So be adaptable and don't take things personal.
And what limits would you remove in 2021?
Let's see what the top limit. I would say, I think we place limits on what our capacity is. Like the things that we believe that we can't handle. Whether it's the emotions that come up or whether it's the struggles that we face, we have a tendency to go, I can't deal with this. I can't take any more. I can't put up with this situation. Human beings are very resilient. We're able to put up with a lot of punishment, mentally, physically, emotionally.
It's clear with 2020, right?
So if you didn't come out of this year a stronger person, that's your fault. Then you didn't, put yourself in a situation, or you had that belief that I can't handle this. So if I could remove a limit from everybody, it's that I can't handle it, because you can. And like you reiterated, this year has shown that we can deal with a lot of things that we don't want to deal with, because there's a huge difference in wanting to deal with something and your ability to handle something. So that would be the limit that I'd remove.
Wow, it's been a while since we did a solo show.
I know.
I was a little nervous to do this solo show.
Nervous. I doubt you were nervous, Paul. I doubt you were nervous, but no, yeah, I think it was good that we got to kind of air out ourselves, because normally we're focusing on our guests, and we've had some amazing guests this year, and I look forward to all the amazing guests we're going to have in 2021. But I think it was good to be able to bounce stuff off each other, pick each other's brain a little bit and see like how the year went for us and how we're looking forward to this next year. So I think it was a really good episode, Paul.
Well, let's end it with a segment of Ask Paul Anything. I have a question here that I'll read off here.
Great.
This is from Maria in Utah. And she says, Paul, should I have a New Year's resolution?
Mm.
And my response to Maria is this: do you feel this New Year's resolution is going to move you forward? And if so, go for it. If you feel like it's really not going to move you forward, or really think that it's not really going to move the needle, then maybe you should just set a goal and not a resolution.
That's good. Because it could depend on what it is, but yeah. And I like your distinguishment there between a resolution and a goal, because I don't think that people really look into what the difference is. But yeah, great question. Great episode, Paul. I think this was, it was good that, we got a chance to do the one-on-one. So I really liked it. I'm looking forward to 2021, and I wish everyone out there, a happy new year.
Happy New Year. For Justin Atherton, this is Paul Fortune. We'll see you next week.
All right. See you next year. Thank you for listening to the show. Don't miss an episode. Click and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform, and find us on Instagram and Facebook under Actions and Limits to stay updated on all our upcoming content. Continue to email the show at actionsandlimits@gmail.com for our segment Ask Paul Anything. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.